I don't know why I didn't jump onto Twitter. Hey, everybody, how are you? It's Jeff Gellman of Solid Canine Training with my weekly dog training Q&A. Thank you for all the people on YouTube, all the people on Periscope. I'm so glad you're here. It's really, really fantastic that we can jump on every single week and do a bunch of Q&A. The reason why I do these Q&A is because we get so many questions, asked on a daily basis. Sometimes up to 24 questions get emailed to me. I can't answer them all. If you're brand new to my world, again, my name is Jeff Gellman of Solid Canine Training, and I've got a training facility up in Providence, Rhode Island. You go to solidcaninetraining.com. We specialize in aggression rehab, lots of behavior modification, but we work with young puppies, basic obedience, advanced obedience, off-leash obedience. A lot of this Q&A show is people will be asking, they'll be saying, how do I stop? How do I stop an unwanted behavior? So you hear me talk about punishment a lot, and punishment is not abuse. Punishment is how you stop unwanted behaviors. So most of the questions are, how do you stop this? How do you stop that? So if you're brand new to my world, you're going to hear me talk a lot about that. Meanwhile, during our show, during our boarding trains, which we do mostly, it's tons of reward based. I just say that to scale it, just to scale it. But I think a lot of people out there are just struggling with their dogs on stopping unwanted behaviors. Also, hey, Australia, also, no dog usually gets turned in for into a shelter or put down because they couldn't do a sit or they couldn't do a down. It's usually something dangerous. So that's where I come in on a lot of this stuff. So all the new folks, welcome to my world. Make sure you follow us, not only on this platform, but all of my platforms. Follow us on this. So here we go. Let's jump right in, Linda.
I don't have any questions yet.
Yep. Right there.
Private trainer, dog bites human, owner won't muzzle, walk away?
Yep, that's a non-client. So that'll become a non-client for you. So if the owner doesn't care enough about your safety and the public safety, it's a non-client. And, of course we want to help people, but you can't care more than them. You can't care more than them, so walk away. Absolutely. Next.
Can I use your obedience techniques to train my kids to clean their room?
Yes, you can. So we all respond to reward and punishment. Absolutely. Next.
How long to condition to e-collar before using it to correct for bad behavior?
Well, that's a really, really good question. So for obedience, what you can do is you don't do it right away. So the way we train obedience is way different than behavior modification. So obedience, you want to make sure the dog understands the command before you start going to punishments, where for stopping bad behavior, such as jumping up on counters, getting in the trash, eating poop, getting in the litter box, you can do it right away. Next.
7.5-month-old puppy, whines and barks in crate. I have an e-collar. Should I use that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's all I have so far.
Nope, there's go up more. There's some more. Somebody was asked, so that person that doesn't want to use a muzzle, they said another trainer, they don't have to use the muzzle. Fine. Let them go to the other trainer then. It's a free world. It's a free world. So let them do that. Next.
Dog barks like crazy when they're let outside.
So if your dog barks like crazy, the way you want to stop unwanted barking is through punishment. So how do you stop unwanted barking? You can use a bark collar, which is automatic. It's the electric ones. The dog barks, it's uncomfortable, they stop barking. And then also, you can use also a remote collar and use it as a bark collar, but you've got to be there. So barking is annoying, and a lot of people will be like, well, sometimes I want my dog to bark. Well, 99% of the time, you're going to want your dog not to be barking. So next.
How often and how long do you recommend training a puppy a day?
Define puppy. So puppies in the 10 to 14 week, thanks Heidi and Hunter for the super heart, 10 to 14 week period, they're going to spend about 20 hours a day in a crate, not continuously, but over the course of the day. So believe it or not, at our boarding train, we train dogs about 90 minutes a day in obedience, and then the rest of the time is on duration work. So, 90 minutes is usually going to be enough. Next.
Good evening to you too, Stephanie. And the second the prong collar comes off, dog goes crazy and stops obeying. 6 months. Well,
if the dog is, I don't know if your dog is 6 months old, you've been training for 6 months, but I'm not surprised by 6 months. Also, create training as a lifestyle. Do training as a lifestyle. Okay? Do training as a lifestyle. So that's what I want you to do is if you create a lifestyle out of it and you just make it every part of your day, 24 hours a day, then the dog will start responding better. Also, if you have to make sure that the word no is built in really, really good. Next.
My dog is easily distracted on walks. How do I minimize this?
So for distraction, number one, make sure you've got a really good solid heel, which is the dog walking next to you. No sniffing, no marking, no lunging, no barking. You don't have to get the dog to be looking up at you, but the way you're gonna stop a. Did you go to the bathroom? Plots. The way you're gonna stop all of that like scanning like this is through a punisher. And you know, the walk is like, if my dogs are off leash, I can care less if they're scanning. They can do a lot of things when they're off leash. They just have to come back when I call them. But on the walk, I don't need them to be scanning. I scan, they follow. So make sure the dog is a little bit behind you, and you can use a leash pop or a remote collar for that. We don't teach competition heel, which is that focused heel, and most dogs can't do that for like very long periods of time, nor do you want your dog to do that when you're just walking around the neighborhood. Next.
How young of an age can a bonker be used?
You can use a bonker on a puppy, 12 weeks old. So next.
Hey there, Jeff from Hap in Dallas.
Hey, Hap, what's up?
My 1-year-old German Shepherd just started chewing the corners of the walls. Help.
So that would be number one. Where are you? So if the dog's doing it when you're not in sight of the dog, then where are you and why is your dog out of your sight? If your dog's doing it when you're not around, why are you not creating your dog? But I would do is whenever you want to stop an unwanted behavior, there has to be a punisher. So if my dogs what I would do is have a remote collar on my dog. And if my dog was chewing a wall, there'd be a pretty high level punishment for that. The reason is the dog could die. Your dog could die from doing that. So that's a life or death issue. Next.
Dog appears to be e-collar smart. How to reverse, strengthen obedience off e-collar.
So don't look at what I want you to do is you wake up in the morning, put your training equipment on, e-collar on, switch every 4 to 6 hours. And then what I want you to do is work the dog over the course of the day. You want to make sure that you've got to a punishment level, and then your dog will stop being remote collar smart. Also, don't be in a rush to get the e-collar off. Don't be in a rush to get the e-collar off. Next.
Does it matter which side you walk your dog if you are disabled on the one?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter at all. Just be consistent. If you're on your right side or on your left side. Next.
Okay. How do you use an e-collar to train off-leash walking? So
off-leash heel, the way you train off-leash heel is you start with an on-leash heel. We do the pressure on, pressure off method of doing off-leash heel. Start with it, and then what it is if the dog gets ahead of you, you would push the remote down. It's continuous level. It's working level. It's not punisher level. So it's working level heel. Then the dog gets back into position, and you let go of the remote. Have the leash really, really loose. Try not to use the leash. Have the leash there just for safety. You can make a lot of directional turns. Turn into the dog. Keep the dog a little bit behind you, and that's how that's going to start. That's going to start you down the road. We teach that at all our seminars. Next.
How to safely socialize an adult dog with other dogs?
There's a lot of variables. Number one, what's the behavior of your dog? And what's even more important, what's the behavior of the other people's dogs? I just set up a What Would Jeff Do tip of the day. If you're not following me on Facebook or Instagram or on YouTube, you'll see those. I'm doing one every day in 2018. We just did our 25th one today. Don't go to dog parks. Dog parks are horrific. They're dangerous. They're not for socializing dogs. What you want to do is find dogs that are stable and balanced, and what you're going to do is you're going to you got to make sure you can read the dogs. So the first thing you want to do is migrate in a walk. The one about how did I learn about this? Don't answer.
I was working on slow walking today in the yard. He was getting it, but it felt like I was constantly correcting him.
So what you might be at the beginning, I mean, if you're just starting this, don't rush, guys. It's going to be, remember, it's training. It's training. It doesn't take forever, but don't be impatient and don't rush things. Also, make sure you're not nagging. Make sure you're not nagging the dog. A lot of people, what they do is they nag the dog. So it's possible, though, that you're underwhelming the dog. But you, as a human, don't get frustrated. Be really, really careful, but also understand that, like, some things do take a little bit of time. Next.
90 minutes at one time, or do you break it up?
Depends on the dog. So nervous, fearful, shy dogs, we break it up. Pushy, snotty dogs, we might work all 90 minutes at once. But then they also do a lot of duration work. So a lot of times if you see our free videos on social media, especially on Facebook and on Periscope like this, or even photos on Instagram and Facebook, you'll see dogs just lying down in place all around the training room. That's not included in the 90 minutes. That's like all over the place.
How would you handle a dog lunging at other dogs on the walk? How would you get him to stop this?
Well, what you want to do is again practice your heel, and you want to do is give the correction prior to the dog lunging. Prior to the dog lunging, that's what happens a lot. Is we wait until the dog lunges. Once the dog lunges, it's too late. You've missed your opportunity. You've totally missed your opportunity. So what you want to do is you want to recognize that the dog's behavior, such as ears up, chest out, heavier breathing, that's when you deliver your punisher. Next.
Jealousy sometimes becomes aggression between two males.
If you get this one with a 3-dog household, yes, it can happen. Don't let it happen. So that's an easy thing for me to say, but start recognizing it. Start having massive amounts of structure in your home. So lots and lots of structure in your house. All your dogs should be kenneled up separately. All of them should be eating in their kennel separately. And then make sure you run your house almost like a board and train at the beginning. Next.
How to appropriately get things crisp when dog gets slow, lazy, imprecise to known commands.
You can just use believe it or not, it's going to be punishment again. Here we go with the punishment. It's like you can reward your dog all day long, but if that might not be enough of an incentive. All right. So what I want you to do is use your remote collar and use that as a motivator. Next.
How to for prong collar for small breed. One link is big enough to spin, one less is way too tight.
So what I would do is make sure that the collar is up super, super, super high. If the dog is a pushy, snotty dog, it's okay if it's snug. If it's a nervous, fearful dog, it's okay if it's a little bit loose. Next.
Dog is perfect except totally unreliable with other dogs, can be quite aggressive.
Then, right, okay, this is not going to fix your problem. If you've got a dog that's aggressive with other dogs, keep your dog away from other dogs. That doesn't fix the problem. That's not the ultimate answer, but that's the ethical thing to do and the safest thing to do right now. Like a lot of these questions that I'm getting are 30-minute to 1-hour answers, but you're getting 15 seconds of that. But if your dog has any aggression at all towards other dogs, please don't have them around other dogs. Because it's like, how about those other dogs that your dog is attacking? So next. And your dog will be fine. Like your dog doesn't have to interact with other dogs, even if we're talking about big picture stuff. Next.
What's the longest amount of time a day your dog can be left alone?
8 hours is pushing it, but then again, you have a life. I mean, if you work an 8-hour job and you have to drive to your job, drive home, and your dog's there for 9 hours, and you don't have a budget for a dog walker or doggy daycare, so try to find somebody to come in halfway. But if you, worst case scenario you can't, I believe you still have the right to have a dog. Like we're killing enough dogs. Shelters are filled up with enough dogs. Like we don't need to take your dog and put it in the shelter. So 8 to 9 hours is definitely on the maximum amount. Maybe you can set up some sort of indoor-outdoor pen at your house, or try to find the extra money to get a pet sitter. Next.
Leash pops off swivel. Is that common?
The leash pops off swivel. Yes. On a 225 collar, it is common. What you do is on the clicky part of your leash, take duct tape, wrap it around of it, so your leash and your collar becomes one. If you're just tuning in, my name is Jeff Gellman of Solid Canine Training. It's my What Would Jeff Do show. It's my Q&A. I do it once a week. I think we're on show number 415 or something like that. Next.
What do you say about a dog that turns into a Tasmanian devil when people leave the house?
So I would punish that, obviously. So any unwanted behavior, you've got to punish. So what you're going to do is you've got, a bonker would be great. A bonker is just a wrapped up towel. Just Google it and look to see what a bonker is. You always want to say no is a precursor to your punisher. Next.
Struggling to bond with dog, doesn't want to play. Any ideas on how to change it?
So if you're struggling to bond with your dog, there are dogs out there that are standoffish. There are some dogs that are a little bit standoffish that don't need that human connection. I've owned a couple of them. Work the dog. Try trick training. Next.
My 4 dogs react to unstable dogs only on the walk.
Yep.
How do you stop this?
What you're going to have to do is we can't control the world. We only can control our dog. So what we can do is it's up to us then. If with all those out of control dogs out there, we have to teach our dogs to ignore them. So a great way to practice that is don't go inside of dog parks. On the outside of dog parks, work your dog around the outside of dog parks and get your dog to stop being reactive. And how are you going to do that? Remote collar, bonker, leash correction. Next.
How much training per day is ideal? A few shorts or one long?
It all depends on your schedule. All depends on the dog. You figure it out. Figure out what works best for you. works best for you. I'm a huge advocate of humans. So if shorter stuff works better for you, do shorter stuff. Next.
My dog is the aggressor. He's a 4-year-old Jack Russell Terrier. He snaps when another dog snips him.
Okay, so your dog needs better socialization. There's a multitude of ways to fix that. And Periscope is not the format to do that. What you're going to do, though, is you're going to teach your dog. You have to advocate for your dog, though. You've got to advocate for the dog. So how long is this? We have a very specific routine. We do that is what we do is we keep the dog on a leash. We allow another dog to maybe get a 1-second sniff, and then we lead the dog away. We guide the dog away so we can teach your dog that there's another way to do it. But a lot of dogs don't like to be sniffed. So we've got to advocate for the dog. Next.
Hi, Blue Pitty whines and barks during sleep. Wake him up or leave him be.
Oh, the dog's sleeping? Let him be. He's dreaming. Next.
How do you work up duration time?
1 minute at a time. A little bit at a time. Just don't, if you've been working on commands for 2 to 3 weeks, your dog should be able to do like for 15 minutes, for 30 minutes. But how do you get duration is through punishment. And again, you can reward your dog all day long. But the bottom line is, if there's something better out there, it's going to blow off the reward. It will blow off the reward. Okay, next.
Food rewards during training for pushy, bratty dogs or no?
At the beginning you can, but eventually I would get off of food rewards very, very quick. Next.
3-dog home. Thoughts on honoring the pack order? Example, does it matter if Alpha is fed first, etc.?
Just feed them all at the same time. Honor the pack order, but you, the human, you run the show. But just like feed them all at the same time. Who gives a shit? Next.
Cheers from Canada. Great info.
Hey, Canada. I've got 2 locations up in Canada this year. Next, two seminars. rvdogtrainer.com, rvdogtrainer.com. Thanks, guys, for all the hearts and all the super hearts. I really appreciate it. Next.
When I have company at my home, my dog gets jealous and brings out my adult toys to the group. Tips?
Keep your dog out of your bedroom. Next.
It's hard to correct my Yorkie on prong without pulling her. She gets overexcited and blows it off.
Okay, so if you can't control your excited Yorkie, most likely you're being too gentle. And I'm not saying you've got to be like harsh, but I'm just saying it's a Yorkie. So, and I've got Chihuahuas, and trust me, I know. What you want to do is, believe it or not, with a bonker, you would say no, and then you would throw the bonker at the dog. If it's not working, you're probably not doing it firm enough. Just look up bonker, online. All right, next.
Cutter is doing phenomenal in his crate. His crate aggression is gone. How to stop whining in crate? Whining in crate is with remote collars again, and you got to do something called fishing. So you go up high, you go down low, you hit continuous, you hit momentary. You got to figure out what's the right formula. All right, next. Have e-collar, but do you recommend using a prong collar first? Dog is a dachshund mix. What size? You can do a dachshund mix is going to be a 225 collar. You can start with a prong collar with the training and layer the remote collar over it. Remember, none of these tools work unless you've got a solid training program behind it. So no tool is going to just train what you want. You still have to train the dog. So the bottom line is you can introduce any leash collar system, and then you can layer remote over it. We prefer prong because it's easier to do, and why would we want the dog to struggle, or why would we want to struggle? Next. How do we locate you on Facebook? Solid Canine Training. Everything I do is Solid Canine Training. Go to our website, Solid Canine Training, and there's a link there. We've got a link. There's a link off of my website for every social media platform that I'm on. Next. Good evening, Gelman family, including Angelo and doggies. Hi, Lula Lover, Heather. Hey, hello. Bonkers did not work. You might have used it wrong. You might not have done it firm enough, and you might have waited too late. Once a dog is aroused, not much does work. So what you want to do is, if you know your dog is about to go nuts, when people leave the house, look at your dog. As soon as you start seeing your dog get agitated, firmly throw the bonker. A bonker is a towel. Yes, I'm telling people to throw a wrapped up cotton towel at their dog. It works, and it's a lifesaver for dogs. Next. 4 dogs are excellent on e-collar around dogs, completely opposite on leash. Is this leash reactivity? Yes, that would be leash reactivity, and it's very, very common. A leash is a barrier. We see that all the time. Next. Have you ever used the Quick Connect collars from e-collar technologies? Yes, we have. We've used a couple of different methods. The bungee collars, which have the Quick Connect on them. Yes. Next. Best way to fade out food rewards once commands are known? Go to punishment.
go to punishment. Or start out with doing variable rewards, which is meaning not every single time, and then also you got to go to punishment. You know, once a dog knows something, you can't keep feeding constantly. You got to stop. So you got to hold your dog accountable. Next.
E-collar recall. Do you just do pressure release until dog always listens, then start using correction?
Well, yes, you do, but make sure the dog is on a leash so you can guide the dog. Remember, remote collars are not directional. So it feels the same on sit, down, place, you know, come or here. It feels the same. So it's not directional. So what you need to do is you need to still use the leash to give guidance. Next.
When giving the command on a short leash for here, dog approaches me very timidly with head down.
So what you're doing is use more food and a little bit more excitement. Next.
Blue Pit, I can't get Slate to look at me during walks and heels.
I wouldn't really worry about it unless your dog was being reactive. You can teach focus work, and you can do that with food. There must be some videos on that I've got on my YouTube channel. Next.
Does Solid Canine use the bungee e-collar?
Yes, we do. Yep, on some of the dogs. Yep.
My year-old male lab plays too rough with my mom's elder female lab, jumps on her back.
So what you can do is, if you saw, we did a video on the use of a dressage whip. It was a Facebook Live that I did this week. You can use a dressage whip, and actually it's not a dressage whip. We'll call it a dressage whip for the sake of doing it, but it's a stockyard whip. And you believe it or not, you tap the dog on the butt pretty firmly on that. Some people struggle with that concept. Oh my God, that's really mean. No, it's not. Your dog getting into a dog fight is mean, or your older dog getting hurt is mean. Next.
My dog will down on carpets but resists on tile. Suggestions? Thank you.
I think your dog will do it if your dog came to me or my staff, your dog would down on tile. So your dog tonight can down on tile. Make it non-negotiable. Next.
How do I start crate training 1-year-old German Shepherd?
If your dog came to me, to our training center tomorrow night, it would be in a crate around all through the nights. So some people say, oh, make it comfortable. Like what? An LL Bean bed that's monogrammed, or nice toys, or nice chew toys, or like bottled water, and then do it for 5 minutes at a time till it gets used to it? Because that's what all the information says out there, which is a bunch of bullshit. It's like, how about this? There's your crate. Go into it. I got a video on how to crate a dog. Go into it. I'll see you in the morning. Next.
Two-year-old Rotties, is it too late for obedience training?
No, it's not. If anybody tells you that it is, they have no idea what they're talking about. Every dog that is breathing can be trained. And if they're not breathing, they do a good downstay. Always remember that. Next.
Okay. Client dog bites owner when owner physically wakes it. Advise not to wake it. Owner says not a solution.
Well, why are you trying to wake up a sleeping dog? Let sleeping dogs lie. So what you could do is keep a leash on the dog, and gently wake the dog up. But, you know, or if the dog wakes you up and then it bites, you can punish that. But what I would do is I would just like leave the freaking dog alone. You know, leave the dog alone. Next.
Roddy growls ferociously when she plays with her brother. Is this a problem? I
don't have a problem with that at all. As long as it's my dogs play fight. So my dogs play fight with each other. I don't let them play fight with any other dogs. I have no problem with that. They don't fight with each other. They play fight with each other. And it sounds really loud. And I've put up so many photos of it, of them like it looks like they're fighting, but they're not fighting. They're play fighting. I don't have a problem with that at all. Dogs in the same family, it doesn't bother me. Next.
My Goldador was so easy to train. He turns out the lights for me at night.
Awesome. Congratulations. Great job.
We don't have a dog yet. Hubby thinks I'm crazy for watching all your Q&As.
Well, not at all. I mean, many females and males are attracted to me, and they feel this instant bond even over the internet, and they don't have a dog. Many people watch this show that never get a dog. It's entertainment. Next. And thank you for watching the show, by the way.
Oh, also, that's continued. Hope to see you at Josh and Justine's.
That would be fantastic to see you there. I'm really excited to see their place. I'm really excited to be going there. It's a new location for the seminar. Yep.
New home with privacy fence. Best way to introduce my dogs to yard. Dog next door. Fence barking at us.
So what you're going to do is you want to introduce the dog to the yard. Put the dog out in the yard. And if you're concerned about the neighbor's dog, walk your dog on a leash first if you want to. If your dog starts barking at the neighbor's dog, you would quiet that dog down with like a remote collar, and your dog will be fine. Your dog will be fine. And then your dog doesn't have to be friendly with the neighbor's dog. Like we live in the city, we have dogs all around us, and our dogs don't interact with anybody's dog in this neighborhood, and all the neighborhood dogs are barking, but my dogs are not allowed to bark back. Next.
Dog won't hold sit and goes into a down with any duration work. Does this need to be corrected?
That's a personal choice. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not competing dogs. Do you know what I mean? I'm not competing dogs. Next.
Do you correct for sniffing on a walk?
Yes, I do. Off leash, they can sniff all they want. Next.
My puppy has anxiety and she has medicine for it.
Okay, I would get your dog off of meds and I would watch my separation anxiety video. We're not anti-drug. But most dogs do not need meds at all. So we feel that the training is so powerful, you can get your dog off meds. So I've got a separation anxiety video. Watch that. Consume all of our training. You'd be surprised how far you can go without meds. Next.
How do I make my dog stop tugging on the leash?
Oh, that's just teach it how to do a proper heel. So number one, what are the tools you use? So I'm a huge advocate of prong collars. It'll make your life so much easier, so much easier. So get yourself a prong collar, watch our videos on how to size it, how to put it on, how to introduce it, and how to start walking your dog on it, and your life will change. Next.
When is T3 in Providence?
The end of June, the last week of June. Go to Train the Trainers with Sean and Jeff.com. Next.
When should the dog be in a crate?
Whenever you're not home and at night. Next.
Dealing with extreme thunderstorm anxiety.
Okay, so this one always freaks a lot of people out. The way that we fix fireworks and thunderstorm anxiety is this. We actually punish the physical aspect of the problem. You have to. Dogs jump out windows. Like dogs will take an air conditioning out and jump out a window. Dogs will jump out of vehicles into traffic. Dogs will chew through walls and chew through doors. So this is what you do. If your dog is freaking out and running around the room, you have to stop that. You've got to stop the physical motion of the anxiety. Then what you do is you put them in downer place and you let them process it. You let them process it. So a lot of times people will say, it'll make it worse. No, it won't. It sounds like it would, but we've never seen it make it worse. Remember, the only advice that I ever get out is something we've done either hundreds or thousands of times and we've seen results from, or else I wouldn't give the information out. So we're seeing great results from that with fireworks and thunderstorms. The only thing you can't duplicate if you wanted to train that is you can't duplicate the barometric pressure from a thunderstorm coming, but you can download sounds from YouTube of thunderstorms. Next.
Dog destroyed tray and kennel. Any way to alleviate anxiety?
Yes. Watch my separation anxiety video. It's on YouTube. Next. I would say more than 50. Hold on 1 second. Here. 9 pots. Good. I would watch my separation anxiety video and start consuming all of our content.
Ready?
Yep.
My dog gets excited and jumps on people.
Okay. I've got a how to stop jumping video on YouTube. It's easier to stop a dog from jumping than it is to teach a dog to sit. Next.
Opinion on good bark collar.
The Garmin Bark Limiter is a good bark collar. Oh shoot, hold on.
What,
sorry guys.
Is there a cat?
No, I'm just talking really, really loud. So I don't want to bother the kids. Next.
Oh, in regards to Josh and Justine's, I'm not crazy. Used to work with Justine at local SPCA. Finally bought a house.
Cool, awesome. I know you're not crazy. Next.
Best way to get clients to do homework? Contract this?
A contract won't help. So the best way to get dogs to do homework is make the training relatively simple, easy to understand. Also, pre-qualified clients before they let them hire you to make sure that they have a vested interest. Remember, they should be working harder than you. An owner of a dog should care more than you do about their dog. So if you find yourself working harder than them, it's the wrong client. Next.
Our dog had extreme anxiety and was on meds. After following your videos, we have success.
Next. Awesome. Proud of you.
If you have dogs that are reactive to other dogs, is that okay because you say to avoid strange dogs?
No, your dog still can't be No, I don't want your dogs to be reactive to other dogs. Your dog should be able to walk by other dogs politely. There's a difference between walking by a dog politely and then being reactive. They don't need to interact, but I don't want them being reactive. Next.
Is it okay to correct for overexcitement towards strangers with e-collar stim?
Yes, it is. Yes. And there's a lot of people that say, don't punish reactivity. Really? How do you stop it then? You reward non-reactivity. I get it, as we do as well. But what happens when hey, thanks for the super hard stuff. What happens when the dog is reactive? So I can't tell you how many dog trainers out there, and this is not dog trainer bashing, and you'll never hear me mention a name of anybody else. But I constantly am hearing folks say, never punish reactivity. It's like, really? Like, then what do? Like, of course you do. You have to, or else the dog will keep doing it. Because reactivity is self-rewarding to a dog. So many things that dogs do are self-rewarding. Barking, reactivity, biting, jumping. Excuse me. All that stuff is, the dog's rewarding itself for doing it. You have to make all that stuff suck, or else the dog won't stop. Next.
We have used prong collar for jumping. However, when wanting to play, we'll still jump up.
Then you didn't do it right. So if the dog wants to play with you, that's inappropriate. If the dog wants to play with another dog, I don't care if they jump on each other. So you need to be more consistent. So you need to be more consistent with it. So don't let the dog get away with any jumping whatsoever. Next.
Can I board and train with a full-time day job working dogs at night and weekends?
Yes, you can, as long as you probably have somebody that can come by midday to let the dogs out. Next.
Overexcitement, meaning too happy and aroused, especially kids.
Yep, exactly. Yep, you'd have to punish that.
Really appreciate your willingness to share your insights and knowledge.
No
Liz
problem at all.
Australia.
Thanks, Liz. Thousands and thousands of hours, tens of thousands of hours will do. Next.
Oops, I just lost that. How to condition dogs around children or babies. Thank you.
That's a whole periscope in itself. That's a whole periscope in itself. I'm actually coming out with a baby proofing video. It's going to be a pay video on my pay channel. I'm just forming a pay channel. So that's a huge thing. I'm not even going to go down the road right now. Next.
Having trouble socializing my dog with other dogs. Any advice? He's 4 months old, German Shepherd.
4 months old. I would be super, super, super careful. I don't want anything negative to happen to that puppy right now, or you'll end up conditioning reactivity in the dog and nervousness and fear in the dog. So I would only want that dog to be around dogs that are very good with puppies, very balanced dogs. Don't go to a dog park at all. I don't care if a dog is friendly. It might be aroused too much for your dog. So you need to make sure that you need to find somebody that does socialization. You need to find someone that does socialization. You need to find some good dogs that are used to raising puppies. Next.
My grandma's older dogs aren't crate trained, but I want to crate my dog. Where should I put the crate?
Put it right in your living room. Put it in your living room. Put it in your main room. Next.
I don't have a next.
Oh.
Is place the main command for the on-off switch?
It's part of it. Everything we do is part of the on-off switch. Everything we do is calm on command. So the place, though, is a great obedience command and lifestyle command for the calm on command and the on-off switch. Next.
What is your pay channel?
Well, you can go to Cool Dog Tricks right now. I've got one thing there, cooldogtricks.com, but we're just starting to put videos up. So we're shooting on the 30th and through the first and second week of February. So there's nothing else up there. Next.
What's your professional advice on hiking with your dog wearing prong? What's a good time frame?
If you're going to hike with your dog on the prong, I would rather you remote collar train your dog so it can be off leash and have better recall to you. It's a pain in the butt to hike with a dog on a leash. But if the dog has a prong on, just don't let it run free in the woods because it can get caught on something. Next.
Someone who tries to train dogs with behavior problems says sometimes it could be genetics.
Yeah,
True?
It could be genetics. I mean, dogs aren't perfect. Either are humans perfect. But I mean, a lot of times, at least balanced training could override genetics. Just remember that. So, how far could a dog go? I mean, a high drive Malinois is not going to, a bulldog is not going to be a high drive Malinois. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to take genetics into it. But I think sometimes some trainers will just say, oh, it's genetics. Now, we have a lot of dogs that are like really, really nervous. That they might not be able to get past that stuff. But we wouldn't know that until we like start working the dog. Next.
What is the definition of off-leash recall? Dog responds to e-collar and not voice?
No, the dog's off leash and it comes back to you. So the dog's off leash, running around, and you say here or come, the dog comes back to you. Off leash recall. The dog's off leash. Now, just because there's a remote collar on it, that doesn't matter. The dog is not on a leash anymore. It's not on a long line anymore. Remember, a remote collar is not a weakness. You can have like all dogs that are off leash in public. If your dog was trained on a remote, it should have a remote on it. Next.
How can I train him on a leash? Is a harness better or those prong collars?
Harnesses don't train dogs other than to pull, to do protection work, to do tracking, and to do odor work. So you need a collar that goes around the neck. So we prefer prong collars. Next. But remember, none of that works unless you know how to train the dog. No collar is going to train the dog. The training trains the dog. The collars help communicate it. But harnesses you can't communicate training through. You can't communicate training through. Next.
If I were to let my dog run on the beach with a long line, would you have it on prong or flat collar? He is not on e-collar.
I would have it on a prong. Next.
But
then jump on the e-collar training. Jump on e-collar training.
Did you say earlier the outside of the dog park was a good place to work on leash reactivity?
Yes, outside of the dog park. Don't go in because you've got all these dogs running around. Start far away and then work your way closer and get your dog to start ignoring even just fast-moving dogs. Just fast-moving dogs. So many dogs struggle with that. They're going to want to be reactive. They're going to want to pull you towards the dogs. They're going to want to be, they get nervous. They get fearful. They get reactive, which I already said. So it's a great place to start your dogs is outside of a dog park. Please don't go inside the dog park. Next.
I don't have another question.
By the way, I travel the world doing seminars. You can go to rvdogtrainer.com, rvdogtrainer.com. We offer one-on-one Skypes, which is what a lot of people need because you're getting a 15-second answer on a one-hour answer, but 15-second answer, yeah. But I'm just trying to help as many people as I can.
Will you be in LA?
I'll be in Ramona, California, which is about 40 miles east of San Diego, a little bit northeast. Next.
If you have an 8-week-old puppy, what should we be expecting them to learn?
Not much. Not much. So, you should have a book. So you either get the Monks of New Skeet, How to Raise a Puppy, or Caesar's got a pretty good book on how to raise a puppy. At 8 weeks old, I want dogs to, it's all food. Everything is food. Everything you do is its daily kibble, not treats, but use its daily kibble to train it. You can train. I have a video called Come Sit Break. I have a video called Come Sit Break, and you can start doing that, going in and out of your crate, waiting for food. That's pretty much what you're going to do at 8 weeks old. Next.
How long do you spend outside of the dog park working on the reactivity at a time?
That's up to you. Guys, this is not directed at you. Don't take it personal. Think for yourselves. Think for yourselves. Whatever works for you. Whatever works for you, do. If you only have 10 minutes a day, do 10 minutes a day. If you've got 30 minutes a day, do 30 minutes a day. Next.
Advice on food aggression?
Yeah. Teach the out command. I've got a video on out command. Resource guarding is fixed in 3 seconds. Next.
Accommodations for T3?
Airbnb or one of the other search engines. So go, but Airbnb, most people they'll go on Airbnb and they'll find a place in Providence. Next.
Spayed or neutered dogs, can they socialize with dogs that are not neutered or spayed?
Sure, of course they can. Next.
I am nervous about starting e-collar training. My last dog, we tried, and he was scared of it.
So you might have done it wrong. That's not an attack on you at all. You might have done it wrong. And what you can do is start watching our videos on how to do it right. And it's all based on food as well. So all you're doing is, remember, don't get a remote collar and just push buttons. The dog will be confused. You've got to still train the dog. So you use leash and you use the remote. All right? Leash and Jiggy Mig, I see your questions, but you haven't answered. You've got to answer. You've got to ask the question. So you've got to answer the question. So I keep seeing you come up there, but you're not asking the question. So wherever you just typed in, ask the question there, and we'll see it. Next. Like you just said, Dr. John Morrow. Okay. So I saw it. So just ask the question right in that box. Next.
If we walk by another dog, should I tap the remote to keep my dog's attention on me?
Yes, if it understands what it means, and if it doesn't understand what it means, you can use leash guidance as well. Next.
So glad I found you training 2 4-month-old labs. It is fun to have you coach me.
Awesome. Proud of you. You got your work cut out for you. 16-week-old dogs, and you got 2 of them. Keep it up. Tons of structure. Massive amounts of structure. Next.
Felt like we failed it, so deserved with the new dog. Felt like we failed it, so deserved with new dog. Almost won. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Makes no sense. Yes, wish people could think for themselves.
Yeah, that's okay. That's why they're on the show, though. You know, we're not doing any shaming. There wasn't a shaming comment. It was just like, guys, training a dog is not rocket science. 35, 40 years ago, I wouldn't have a job in dog training. Everybody trained their own dog. But we've been conditioned by society that if you do something wrong, you're going to fuck up your dog. And you're not going to mess up your dog. The only way you're going to mess up your dog is by not training it. So remember, reward what you want, punish what you don't want. Next.
Thoughts on using the vibrate button for correction before dialing up on the remote?
We don't use vibrate. We don't use vibrate, so I wouldn't know how to do it. To me, a lot of dogs, when they're in drive, they don't feel the vibrate at all. And tone has no meaning unless like you teach the dog what it means. Like I've heard people say, why do you use a remote collar for recall? Why don't you just blow a whistle? What are you, fucking nuts? Like if I blew a whistle, like, and it was that easy, like, do you mean I can blow a whistle and the dog will just come back to me? I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. It's like, what are you talking about? Obviously, in sport dog training, they use the whistle, but I assure you, it was like they did the training first. Like whistle blowing don't make dogs come back to you. Next.
Fearful, aggressive Great Dane, e-collar trained. Where do I start with getting him to be less fearful? A
lot of what you're going to do is get him around a lot of environmentals. Make sure the dog's got a really good focus on you, a really good heel. Work the dog in situations that the dog is struggling with environmentals, and do confidence building exercises such as going over things, under things. Work the dog through its fear. And the best way to do that is, it sounds cold and uncaring, take your heart out of it and use your head. You know that walking over like wet grass, just for an example, the dog's not going to fall apart. Next.
I've heard with puppies you can use an empty bunt pan if they scarf their food.
Yeah, you can. But you can also use a cookie sheet. A cookie sheet pan, you can do that. You can do a cupcake pan, and you can do that, or you can just feed them through their training. You can use their daily kibble through training. Next.
Hunter is scared of cars on walks. He is 7 months old. How do we work on that?
You're 7 months old. What you're going to do is you can eliminate the arousal. Believe it or not, you can actually punish the fear mode. So what you're going to do is advocate for the dog, train the dog how to do a proper heel, work on some distance, and then work your way closer. If the dog tries to get away from you, you can do a remote collar heel. Remote collar heel will get the dog over the fear. Everybody's like, oh, so you're shocking the dog because if it's afraid? No, you're not. But the alternative is your dog gets hit by a car or the dog runs away. So what you do is you make the act of fleeing not the best thing in the world. You make the act of staying next to you really, 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 really rewarding. Next.
Is it a problem to have your dog crate in your bedroom?
All depends on your dog's behavior. If your dog has separation anxiety, yes. If the dog is aggressive, yes. But I would just put the dog on the outside of the bedroom. Next.
Do you recommend perfecting heel on prong before training e-collar heel?
Mm-mm. You don't have to necessarily. You can do it in motion. You can train while you're working through it. Train while you're working through it. A lot of people do that. You can actually start on remote collar heel. Literally, like your first exercise if you want to. Next.
Love the e-collar. Scared at first, but after listening to all of your podcasts, I've learned a lot. Thanks.
Awesome.
Oops. I don't want to hit that.
Yeah,
who are your inspirations when learning dog training?
I mean, trial and error is probably my mistakes are probably my biggest inspirations. And that's not like, first of all, I don't name names. I never name names. And the reason why I don't name names is because, it's not because That's just not what I do. But what I will say is the best way I have learned. So how did you learn? Oh, did you have to apologize, poor goof in '72? Like if I was pissed off at you, I'd freaking ban your ass. Don't worry about it. You'd be out of here like freaking toast. So
what does that even mean? Out of here like freaking toast?
You either throw the toast out or you eat it and it's gone. Take your pick.
I don't like toast.
I love toast. I had toast with orange marmalade. This is the thing. The number one way, how did you learn about dog training? By making a shitload of mistakes. That's how I learned about dog training. I made a ton of mistakes. You can read, you can watch, you can study, you can go to any school you want to. You can get all kinds of degrees, but until you actually work a dog and see what works and make a shitload of mistakes, that's how you become a dog trainer. That is how you become a dog trainer. That's the best way. So that's my biggest, how did I learn so much? By the dogs. Next.
Took dog for, I'm losing it. Took dog for his first time to a new house. He was fine, but I had to tell all new people in house to ignore.
Okay, that's fine. You do what you got to do. Yep, I know.
Hey, Linda and Jeff, I hope everything is going okay with you this evening. It's going great, Yankee woman.
Thanks, Kim. Everything's always good, man. Everything's always good at the Gelman household.
Okay. Living full-time in an RV with my husband and our 3 dogs. Place Command is game changer. Thanks.
It sure is. I'm an RVer as well. I'm on the road anywhere from 2 to 4 months out of the year in a row. And I can't imagine not having place in my RV. So kudos to you, full-timer. How do you cut the dog's nails? The best way to figure out how to cut the dog's nails is this. Go to YouTube and just search in YouTube how to cut dogs' nails. There are so many people out there that are really, really good at teaching it, and I'm not one of them. So what you want to do is just watch a bunch of videos. We use a Dremel usually. If they're super, super long, we'll use the clippers. But then when we want to really get down there, we use the Dremel. But I would watch one of the people that are really, really good at it. A lot of groomers put out videos on how to cut nails properly.
Are you coming to Seattle, Washington anytime soon?
I should be now. I'm looking for a location. I'm trying to get there in July. I'm trying to get into Seattle in July. Next.
Thanks for what you do. Thanks for what you guys do. It's obviously helping thousands of dogs, but learning to advocate for
it does.
Dog has helped me advocate for myself.
Yeah, hundreds of thousands of dogs. And remember, it's bigger than the dogs. This is a personal growth. This is a personal growth journey for so many people. So many people started learning boundaries, self-confidence, advocating for themselves, as you said, advocating for their dogs. So this journey that we've been on for the last 12 years, and thousands of videos and tens of thousands of hours of content, and traveling the world doing these seminars, it's definitely changing. It's definitely changing the world. Next.
Videos are the best proof that it works.
Bingo. Remember that.
That's all I got right now. Let's see.
So if you're just tuning in, my name is Jeff Gelman of Solid K9 Training. You can go to solidk9training.com.
Will you be in Sacramento, California?
Nothing planned, but find me a location and I will talk to them. So if you know of a dog training facility that would want to host, let me know. New Hampshire, you're local to me. I'm in Providence, Rhode Island. In March, I've got a seminar. Drive down. You're local. Drive down. It's worth the trip. Mm-hmm. The record for coming to one of my seminars is 36 hours. Somebody drove across the whole country of Australia. The whole freaking country of Australia, from Perth to Cairns.
Isn't Australia a continent?
The whole continent of Australia. The whole island of Australia. Guys, go to rvdogtrainer.com. I do a seminar for 80% of the U.S. population, you can drive. You can drive. That's how many. I do 20 2018, I've got 20 seminars lined up. Next. Hey, I will do Sacramento. Find me a seminar location. My seminars are weekend seminars. Go to rvdogtrainer.com, guys. rvdogtrainer.com.
Someone said, get him, Linda. My geography.
Yes. If you find me a location in Brisbane, I will go to Australia. Brisbane, I'll go to Australia. I can't go south of Brisbane. Tools are not legal there, and I'm not interested in training without tools. Texas States, guys, rvdogtrainer.com. You can get to it quicker than I can. I can't look at it right now. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas in November. Next.
I can't read that.
Do locations need to be training centers? It would be much better to be at a training center. Yes. Much better to be at a training center. Just because of what goes on in the world of dog training, those of us that use tools, we like it to be in dog training centers. Yes.
Thanks again, Jeff, for the help you have given me and my 3-pack.
Awesome.
Hap.
My pleasure, buddy.
Looks like south of Brisbane doesn't want disciplined dogs.
No, there's just a lot of yelling and screaming people about, not using tools.
Would you recommend a seminar or one-on-one? 1-year-old GST doing great at home, but reactive on walks.
One-on-one you're probably better off trying a seminar first. Try a seminar first, see how far you go, and then you can always do one-on-ones. But a seminar is going to be less money, and it's 16 to 17 hours of training. I'm not working your dog the whole time, but you'll learn a lot. If you're in a rush, you can also do a one-on-one, and you just don't learn about reactivity. You learn about everything. You learn about everything. So
that's all I have right now.
What can we expect at a seminar? Watch. Go through photos. So if you go through, what can you expect at a seminar? Your dog comes in out of control and it leaves in control. That's what you can expect. You can expect learning more than in 2 days than you probably have in your whole life. And I'm not saying that from an ego thing. I've done 130 of these seminars. So 130 of these seminars. So it's life-changing. It's life-changing. That's a lot of dogs.
Mm-hmm.
That's over 2,000 dogs that have attended my seminars. Next.
Proper prong for a small dog?
2.25 or 1.75.
Do you punish for excitement in the house, running around
Hell,
crazy?
Yeah. Children and dogs. That's what we have outside for. That's what we have outside for. Yeah, you don't run around my house. Nope, absolutely not. I want you doing nothing. I want you doing nothing in my house. Never crated, should you? Yes, you should. Crating is not just for destruction and for soiling. Crating is a great leadership exercise. It's a great leadership exercise. So it's really, really great for structure and leadership. But it's personal choice. Personal choice. If you don't want to crate, don't crate. But I would suggest it. Do the dogs you are training react to the robotic dog? No, they don't. They don't. They're talking about Allie at the training center. Next. I don't know anything about that. Yeah. This sucks. You're coming to Collingwood on the same weekend my retriever club has our hunt test. I know, man. I know. I'm really excited to be up in Collingwood. So I don't know what to tell you. On that one. You clone yourself. What's good? You do. So you do. You do barn hunt, or you do hunt and field trial. Hunt and field trial. Thanks for all the hearts, guys. Yeah, everybody does love a well-trained dog. No shit. But you know what, though? People don't know what a well-trained dog looks like. So many people are, like, when your dog is well-behaved and it's out in public, people are shocked, at least in the United States. They're like, my gosh, your dog is so well-behaved. I'm like, yeah, it's normal. How come you don't work with dogs at the center? I'm too busy. Because I've got great staff. I've got awesome staff, and I spend my time, I oversee my company. So I oversee the company. I started this company 12 years ago, and I did everything, but now I just oversee everything, and I do a ton of social media, and I make sure that my staff is busy with dogs, and I travel the world doing dog training seminars. And your wife likes it when you're at home sometimes. And my biggest... My legacy isn't going to be training one dog at a time at the training center. My legacy is making a huge impact on the world through my social media and through my videos. So that's what I'm doing now.
Just your positive attitude all the time is a game changer for my confidence level.
Awesome. But guess what, to let you know, I have my down days as well. Okay? I have my rough days. So I'm not always like, oh my God, life is great. I have my down days as well. So I want you to know that if you're struggling, that it's normal. Like, that means you're just normal. But I'm not going to think I'm going to do a Periscope saying, man, I'm really depressed today. My life sucks. I can't stand I can't stand stuff. I just had an argument with my wife. I just yelled at my kids. Like, I'm not going to do that. I don't put my dirty laundry, you know what I mean? I don't put my dirty laundry out there. But I do try my best to put out awesome, awesome vibes. Next.
That's an awesome legacy, and it's more than begun.
Cool. Nice. Thank you.
Poor Angelo and family when you're on the road.
Yeah, I know.
That's true.
Next.
Are you going to start charging for training videos?
I'm coming up with a paid channel, which I'll be doing 7 Days to Sanity, baby proofing. I'm going to be coming up with those two, but those are going to be like in depth, 3 cameras, microphone, edited. You know, they'll be like a minimum of an hour long, if not longer. So yes, those will be downloadable videos that I'll be, I mean, that's how I make a living, guys.
I have a question. What's the longest amount of time a day you can leave a dog alone?
Somebody already asked that question.
I know, but it's that Jiggy Meg, and I know we answered it. Oh, she must have missed the answer.
So 8 to 9 hours is pushing it. 8 to 9 hours is pushing it. So some people, it's like, it'd be great if you can find like a neighbor or a dog walker or a pet sitter or a friend to let the dog out at the halfway part. That would be really, really nice if you can do that.
Ran into an idiot dog owner who wouldn't call his off-leash dog even after telling him mine was aggressive. Used your foot example.
Good. Excellent.
Someone asked, does Linda give you a honey-do list?
Just in the bedroom.
Oh my God!
Just in the bedroom.
I was gonna say you give me the honey-do list.
So I'm 52 years old, and she thinks I'm 18. So, you know, it's like, damn. It's like I'm not 18 anymore. I'm 52. Give me a break. Next.
Oh my God. All right, that's enough of that.
I'm done with it. I didn't say anything else.
It's just the reactions now that we have to go through. Okay. Do you recommend the Mini Educator on a 140-pound dog?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you might have to use the if it's a big dog and it's really, really, you know, flabby right there. Damn right, 1966 rocks.
Oh my God.
That's right, it does. So you might have to use the longer prongs if you got a dog. Usually dogs like that are
poor Linda's right.
A little bit flabby around the neck possibly. But yeah. So it's not this. It's not the size of the dog that determines it. It's more about just like, does it have meaning? Next.
Okay, poor Linda. That's true. Oh, it's okay, Jiggy Meg. We got it. We got your back.
Yeah. Don't worry about that. Yeah, next. Yeah, use the longer prongs. Next.
Brown chicken, brown cow. I don't know
what that means. Next.
Whoa, people are asking some inappropriate
What are they asking?
Here. Does Linda use the prong or e-collar in the bedroom?
No, but guys, if you Google my name, Google Jeff Gelman, like, you'll see my old business. I used to own sex stores. So I met Linda at a fetish club. So and it's out in the open. People always try to use that against me. They're like, oh, he used to own a sex store, so he can't train a dog. It's like, sorry, I didn't come out of the freaking womb training dogs.
Jay John has Google.
Of course.
That's probably why you're asking those crazy
questions. That's why so many people are like, they try to use that against me. It's like, I built a $3.5 million company from zero. Like, sorry, guys. But it's not even a dollar thing. We used to do seminars. I used to do sex seminars all over New England. Brown University.
A lot of questions coming in here.
Sorry, go ahead.
He said longer prong.
Let's get back to the dogs. We gotta mix it up. We gotta mix it up.
All right.
Next.
Hold on.
No, I was talking to the screen.
Oh, well, still hold on. Multiple dog issues, added a dog and still having socialization issue. I can't even stay with that question.
So if you've got multiple dog issues and you're having a hard time with socialization
after 6 months,
6 months, you probably want to do a Skype with me. And I'm not saying that to I'm not saying that to get business from you. I don't do these to get business. But it's possible that you're doing something incorrect, or if you're not reading your dogs right. Whenever you're dealing with multiple dog issues as an owner, it's hard for owners to figure that stuff out. So massive anxiety and then aggression. It's really hard for owners to figure that stuff out. So next.
What kind of contact points would be good for a Samoyed coat?
I would use the thick fur contact points and the longer ones. Thick fur, not just the long ones, but a thick fur one. Next.
Got nothing.
What time do we go on the air?
We've been on for an hour right now.
Okay. Oh yeah, we have an hour. All right, guys, it's time for me to jump off. It's time. I used to know no Q&A sex stuff. No. I'm done. I'm so done with that. All right. So it's time for us to jump off. We've been on for an hour. That's how long the show is. Again, my name is Jeff Gellman of Solid Canine Training. You can go to solidcaninetraining.com. Jump onto all of our social media platforms. Like us. Turn on the notifications. Follow us. We got so much stuff, so much content out there that's for free. I can't wait to I can't tell you enough that I love all of you. You all mean so much to me. I value the fact that you're on this. I value the fact that you're on this platform. The fact that you actually are coming on here and asking a question and interacting with me. I can't just say I treasure these moments. They do mean a lot to me. So again, madly in love with you, and we'll talk to you next week, but I'll see you all the time on social media. All right. Take care, everybody. Love you all. Bye-bye. Thanks, YouTube. I love you.